Hello everybody, welcome back. My name is Anna from Tarot, and this is the lighting we've got today. So I have been wanting to make this video for the longest time now, and it felt like the right moment to do so. I am comparing the number pips, so numbers 1 through 10 or ace through 10 in the classic Rider Waite Smith. This is my Centennial deck that so many people are familiar with. That's why I chose it. With my unconventional favorite Marseille deck, the Trionfi Della Luna. This is the paradoxical version. The reason I want to do this is because with a traditional Marseille, very sec Marseille, there really is a lot of studying that needs to happen in order to understand the meanings of those cards. We are comparing elements, or rather suits, with numerology, and then add on to that whatever you feel helps your readings. You know, you can add the tree of life, you can add astrological associations with that, you can add whatever you like, but in itself it's really rather every number means something, plus compare that or combine that with the suit that we are talking about at that moment. Whereas in obviously the Rider Waite Smith, we can do the exact same thing, but we also have the help of the scenic pips that we are also very familiar with. And basically why I felt that this video was necessary is because I feel that in this work of art by Patrick Valenza, there are in fact a lot of hints towards Rider Waite Smith, or rather other system meanings, or actually not even Rider Waite Smith or other systems, because you may know if you came here through a Tarothon, for instance, that I am all about making one tarot system. You know, no matter what deck you have in front of you, of course the imagery dictates a large part of the meaning of the card, of the reading, and of the, you know, the connections between the cards, but in itself it still holds the same energy. It's still the same archetype that we are working with. It's still the same card that we are working with, no matter what system it is. But what I want to say is that I feel that there are, because you see, this is not a typical Two of Wands in a Marseille. There is so much added to it. There are different colors, there are different shapes, there are many different elements, just so many extra elements that Patrick added into these cards, which not only make them beautiful, but also quite interesting to read, because I feel that there are hidden symbols in all of these details that actually help to find the meaning of each and every individual card. So it's not only Rider Waite Smith, it's not only Thoth, it's not only any other system, it's just the essence of the meaning of the card. And of course, these are much more abstract drawings than, I'm going to show the same card once more, than this one, because it does, of course, a scene does, of course, maybe mean more to the reader. Just by looking at the card. And by that I mean you can, of course, in these much more abstract sigil-like cards, artwork, you can, of course, make it more free, as in it's more easy to find, of course, your own meaning anyway, whereas maybe a scenic pip might be a little bit more directional, as in this is what this card means, this is what that card means. But this is the longest intro ever, but I'm just gonna ramble. But ever since I got into reading these non-scenic pips, basically I found out how freeing the tarot can really be, you know, together with that base of knowledge that I think we all need in order to give accurate readings. The Marseille system really is the one that set me free as a reader, and which is why I love the Marseille system so much. And still, it's still quite specific. It still means more than any other pip deck, although obviously then we get to the third major system that I use, which is the Thoth, which is not featured in this video, but then of course there's so much more added into, I mean not added, but like more associations that you can make with these cards. All right, so long story short, we'll see. Let's get into these cards. I am trying to find and show you everyone who has a Trionfi Della Luna, no matter what colorway or whatever, that doesn't matter. Everyone who has one of these decks or is thinking about getting one of these decks but isn't sure about getting it because it's a Marseille system, this will hopefully be a helpful video because you will see that there are these little drawings, little details in the cards that actually remind you of the meaning of the card. And to make it easy to find, easy to see, I am using a traditional Rider Waite Smith. So let's dive into this. So some of these comparisons, because we're going to go card by card, are going to be a little bit longer. Others are going to be a little bit more simple, but maybe just one word, we'll see. But hopefully all of them will be helpful for you. So let's start with this Ace of Wands. I don't really feel like these Pamela Coleman Smith aces are all that scenic, apart from obviously the background. Here in this background we have a river, water, some trees, mountains, and this castle in the background. And here we actually have a different type of abundance. I do feel these are beautiful, whimsical, very other realm flowers. Obviously the wands are something that is alive. They even look like maybe a leg of some previously live animal, but it's just something that's growing, you know, so it could be like a flesh-eating plant or something like that, but this is your own association. But I can see here these rays kind of look like flames, so that could help with the element of fire, but I don't have a lot to say about that. I do have more to say about the 2s, the 3s, and so on, all the way to the 10s. So see this is all about, we could say, stepping into the adventure, or basically making plans, getting prepared to go and go our own way. We are basically standing in the doorway to face the world. And then I see that here in this little detail, that really looks like a bird even that is spreading its wings, and it's almost as if it's coming out of the nest that it grew up in, so that these wands could be like the branches of the tree where the nest of this bird would be. And then he is making his first, not steps, well, figurative steps to go out into the world. You know, I know that this is very personal, and this might just be a random decoration to fill up that part of the card, but once you spend so much time with the same deck, it's just inevitable, right, to see these types of details. So let me know who else does this with their cards. So here we have the 3. And I cannot help but see these flesh-eating plants in the very green suit of the wands. You know, the Trionfi wands are very green, at least in this colorway, and they remind me of the greenest suit in the Royal Moroccan Fez deck that I have in my collection in my bookcase. They are, yeah, the greenest suit of that deck, which is interesting, right? Because obviously it's the Royal Fez is a Rider Waite Smith clone. Obviously, in every card of the Rider Waite Smith, we see these little leaves. So these wands are still alive, they are still growing. That means a lot in terms of symbolism. We are creating, we are still changing, we are still moving. It's still very active. It's not as if we have chopped off this branch and it's dead now. It keeps growing, right? And it's also like a adventure walking stick kind of thing. And obviously we cannot ignore Golden Dawn, Magician, occult part of these tarot decks, and by that I mean the Thoth and the Rider Waite Smith, and obviously also the Golden Dawn tarot deck itself, which I no longer have. But these also are magician's wands, as in we do manifest with this. So, all right. Here I see flesh-eating plants. See that? So this foliage is all about showing what type of plant we have. And here I basically see a plant with its mouth open because these are its little teeth. And then there is this drop of unknown liquid, an unknown substance, which is falling right into the middle of this plant's mouth. And the story that I made with this card, I love this card, connected to one of the standard ways to read the Three of Wands in any deck, is that this is just a different explanation of taking a trip, a different version of taking a trip, because obviously this is in traditional meaning the ships are coming in, right? We are starting to see a type of accomplishment in any three, but cannot help to also see we are finally stepping out into the world, and yes, making things happen, but that also means that we need to go out into the world. The three, after all, is an active number, and this is just a different version of going on an adventure, taking a trip. All right? All right. Four of Wands. Looking at it through a very numerological way, I love to see the fours as that stability, you know, the first real ground, it's the first stability, right? And comparing that knowledge with the suit of wands, which is all about fire and creativity, we get the first stability in a creative process. So this is kind of like a dream place to be for any artist. And I do artist because I know that not everyone is artistic or considers themselves to be creative or artistic, except that you can always see the suit of wands as we create our own lives anyway. So everyone is a creator. Everyone, you know, manifests things, whether they think about it in a certain way or not, whether they are aware of it or not, or whether they want to use that type of thought along with this manifestation, creation of your own reality. So the dream place to be for any artist, because from that stability you can keep growing, you can keep going. And I like to see these, I don't know, like almost perfect curls, or yeah, the leaves here, they're so aesthetic, you know, it's like almost too pretty. Like we'll see what comes after that, you know, but it just feels like this, like the garland. It feels like just this beautiful moment. I hope that helps. Now we move on to the five. Now it's becoming even more clear that I think Mr. Valenza was helping us to know the meaning of these cards. Because the Five of Wands can be about conflict, but it's also about challenge. Either way, maybe our defenses are up, or either way, we are just ready to bounce back or act or defend ourselves, or ready for this challenge. Yeah, I don't really see the Five of Wands as a negative card. Anyway, every card is positive and negative. I mean, we know all that by now, but isn't it cool that we get to see these huge thorns out of these Five Wands? And I kind of even see the story unfolding within this card, because the thorns are this, looks like a conflict, like something that we don't want to be a part of, except that right in the middle, in the center of all of this action, the center of the storm, the eye of the storm, there's an eye, and this eye is open, very wide open, who sees that this is actually something that the universe or whatever, it came on your path because you need to see this challenge, and you need to actually use this challenge and therefore better yourself, advance yourself in the process of whatever you're doing, but life. So within that, I see just that. Six of Wands. Obviously, in this deck, all of the wands look like paintbrushes. So I already really like that. Or you could even say buds, little buds that are in the process of opening. So, Six of Wands, I really love this because this is all about victory. And yet again, just like in the Two of Wands, we have this little, now it kind of looks like some sort of a fairy or something that is just spreading its wings and ascending. And there we can link so much of other systems. You could link the middle point of the tree of life. You could link the title of the Golden Dawn, Victory, or Lord of Victory, isn't it? You could link so much, the six is as above, so below, and we do actually have one of them going towards the top and one of them descending as well. I mean, there's just so much in there, but in itself, in this card being so much about this is a great moment and it's balanced. What are these toys? I used to have one of these toys. It's such a 90s thing, I think, or maybe early 2000s. That's possible. I don't know. No, I was younger than that. 90s thing. It was those fairies with the colors that were really in during that decade. So it was a light blue, light green, but also most of all purple or light purple, lilac, and then pink and all of that, and then with glitter. There was these little fairies with the wings. You had to pull a string and then it would fly off. So yeah, either way, it looks like something beautiful. Seven of Wands, maybe not that clear, but I do see this is all about, for me at least, boundaries, but also standing your ground, respecting yourself, all of that. And here we have other thorns, but then at the same time, there's a lot of leaves growing. And then this is kind of also doing its own thing. It's like it's going a little bit wild, which I like. It's a combination between defensive magic, I was gonna say, but I actually meant just, well, of course it can be, but defensive energy of the thorns, while at the same time finally realizing that this is something that you actually needed to do for yourself all along. And so that's why all of these green leaves are all of a sudden bursting out of these wands, because just look at the difference between the 6 and the 7. In the 6 we have some leaves that are pretty big and you could say fully grown, and some of them with the curl could also mean, of course, in traditional Marseille, the curled leaves could also mean that they are wilting. So some of them are growing, are at their peak, and some of them are already waning away. Whereas here, it's all new growth. So interesting for the 7. Then here with the 8, this is also about boundaries for me, but you could say swiftness. It is really about this fast moving energy. After all, it's the wands, it's fire. But in Marseille, it's really also about this hyperstability, right? So I think it shows in the big cross. Anyway, but that we can find in every Marseille. Again, I see these quite large thorns or horns, and then here we have full or dark moons encased in these vines or plants. Let me know if you see something else. We could help each other out, right? Here, I love this one because in the 9 of Wands, in the Rider Waite Smith, we see someone at the end of a journey and it's been rough. And here, there is again this feeling of overwinning. What is that? We kind of won. We did make it all the way through, but at a cost. This energy basically is, I'm ready for more bad and heavy stuff to come my way. And therefore we have many, many thorns, because it's almost as if at this stage we have learned to to fight back. Yeah, to fight back and to not be so not trustworthy, but not be so trusting of everything and everyone. This stage, this type of accomplishment does come at a cost. And then here with the 10, there is a new beginning. I mean, it's an end and a new beginning. It's the full energy, the full cycle, and it's starting again. We see that with the little curls of those plants wilting away. There is some new growth. It might be a little bit of a challenge or a difficult time anyway, because they don't really look like leaves. They look like more thorns are coming out. But at the same time, I always like to see these little half moons or crescents, really, because one of them is waning and one of them is waxing, and that always, to me, means it's an end and a new beginning. So within that is already a lot. Oh, I talk so much. I didn't expect for this video to take this long. Apparently, I am talking a lot today. I think it's time for a break. Get yourself a drink, maybe get more comfortable, or get your notes if this is, interesting enough for you, and I will see you for the B-side. Okay, the swords, the aces, means a lot of different things, but obviously here we have the sword has been used because a part of this vine, mistletoe or whatever it is, or palm, has been cut. Two of swords. Love this. I love that in this deck this is a dark moon, so it's very dark moon energy, even though we have this moon here. But to me it's more a dark moon energy, like we are inactive, and whatever decision we make now, no one would benefit off of it, so we choose the non-active way to act. And I also at the same time love that this could be seen like a justice card. There's the balance of the swords and the inactiveness, and then also she is blindfolded, or this person is blindfolded. Whereas here in every Marseille deck, this card is the one that we tilt so that it looks like an eye. And then especially in this deck, because there's also this round shape in the middle, it looks more than ever like an eye. I'm trying to go a little bit more quickly because I'm talking so much. Here, this is so obvious. I feel like the swords in this deck are very obviously the bad suit, which obviously they aren't. They are just misunderstood, and it's not like every thought or communication that we have or encounter is bad. Obviously, it's not like the swords are bad cards to get. They are just a little bit more challenging and maybe take a little bit more understanding, because they tend to look a little bit scarier. Obviously here this is often confused for heartbreak because we see a heart, but to me this is mostly a card about sacrifice, which I think we see here. What I like here is that this banner looking thing, also, banner would be with letters or words or a message on it. And at the same time, in this colorway, it looks like a tongue, maybe a forked tongue even. Either way, that reminds me of the communication that is with this middle sword with the blood is being cut. So what needs to be cut away? What needs to be sacrificed in order for you to grow? And then also maybe keep some things to yourself. Depends on the day and the mood and the card surrounding it, what the card means, of course. Let's keep going. Here we have the Four Swords. I think this is kind of death in a sense, because we do have this flower that is cut, and the only way for it to stay, you know, with the same air, in the same bubble, encased, protected, and therefore you could say rested or recharging, is encased. The minute that one of these swords is either taken away, or actually rather the structure of the swords is broken up by the fifth sword, that is when this energy might die. So that is where we leave our stability. So I'm not gonna, you know, explain this one too much, but I hope you recognize a little bit where I'm coming from with these messages. Because, you know, I always read the Rider Waite, well, not always, but for the past years, I have read the Rider Waite Smith much more, in a much more numerological way than I did in the beginning, because we are so, you know, influenced by these images. The moment that we kind of try to see what else is there in the image, adding in astrology or even just book T, we start to see different things in the cards. It's not just, this is not just conflict, you know, this is not just loss or a stormy day or or betrayal or whatever. But it's not a happy card. None of the fives are particularly happy. This is a very empty card, isn't it? There's a sort of emptiness in comparison to the other cards. This is just the swords with a lot of blood on it. So it is, I think, exactly what I explained here. The minute the extra sword, the next step is taken, the extra sword comes in and breaks through this very encased, safe moment in the process. It starts to kind of crumble away. The stability is not as stable and safe as we thought it was. And so we are kind of thrown into this harsh reality. Yeah, great moment. Here, to me, knowledge card. There's much more to every card, but I mean, I could talk for I think 3 hours about just one card, you know? Which I will do at some point on this channel, which I also have done. But just to keep going, I do see this card as we take the knowledge with us to not just forget about what happened, because we do come from a painful place, but it needs to be a lesson. So in order to actually learn this lesson and make things better for ourselves, it's completely silly to think that we can repeat the exact same thing and then expect different results. So this is about knowledge. This is about learning. This is about, it doesn't need to be the pain that you bring with you, but it does need to be the experience and the lesson that you bring with you. So therefore, I again like this eye in the middle, because it shows a third eye, like a different type of lesson and understanding about the situation. Here in the 7, again, a card with many different explanations or meanings, but the one that we see most often used in the Rider Waite Smith especially is that something is hidden. We are not being completely honest, or someone is not being completely honest. And then basically I see these wings, like a little devious creature is hiding behind these wings. It's like these wings are concealing some sort of truth. But the truth needs to be let out. Also, by the way, this sword is behind the knot instead of through or in front of it. So it is actually behind this facade. So we need to find out this truth. And it has wings because it does need to come out at some point. But, you know, I guess it isn't yet. The 8 of Swords. Again, we are here with the hyperstability. But here we have drops of what appears to be blood. It just does show a sort of pain, a sort of sacrifice. I guess we can see there's a different way to go about it. Blood isn't just sacrifice. Blood also is potential, especially in this shape. because you see it's not just a sort of imprisonment, it's also just how we get to come out into life. Well, that's all I'm going to say about that. The nine. Oh, this sword is completely filled with what I think is blood. It's right there on top of all the other cards with drops of blood, and it's in front of you, even with this. It looks like a big exclamation point. So at this point, I feel the Trionfi is showing us there's a lot of the energy of air. There's a lot going on, and it's stressful. It's a dark time. Obviously, I would read both of these cards in different ways as well, but in what the imagery is saying, you can see the similarities, right? We want to come out or get out of this situation, but it just hurts so much, and it's just so much on the forefront, on the surface, so we are confronted all the time. And then here, because honestly in the Golden Dawn, after all, the wands and swords are both suits that don't really end on a positive note, but this again, we are end new beginning, and this is, you could say, an end with the swords crossing, and then there's again with that pain that comes with it, because we need to go through the pain. That is a sort of sacrifice, you could say, but you know, so much more. And at the same time, again with this shape, the horizon being the sun will come up again, as in we do need to go through this stage in life every so often, in order to go through that moment in the process so that we can renew ourselves and have a new beginning. Thank you everybody for watching this video. This is part 1. I will upload part 2, I think, next week, maybe earlier, but just try to stay tuned for that if you want to see more, because we are missing 2 suits. In the meantime, check out this video that I'll link in the screen, and you know, join the club, leave a like and a comment. Obviously, I always want to know what you think, and I'll see you very soon. Thanks so much for being here.